Hello again. Today I'm covering an individual stock, Hawaiian Electric. It's trading close to its support level. Support is the low level that people will buy it because it's just too good of a bargain. Um, the other one would be when resistance, where it is up at a certain price and it doesn't want to go through that certain price because it becomes too expensive for people. Right now, because of the Maui fires, it apparently is going down to the support level. Not all the way down to the support level. In the 52 weeks, it had a low of 906 and a high of 4371. At this point, it is between 1242 and 1302. The last time I looked, it was 1297. Yesterday's close was 1262. Today's open is 1242. Is it a good stock? In the past, they have continued to raise their dividend. Right now, they're not going. They suspended their dividend based on the fact that they have to deal with lawsuits about a fire on Maui. If they go through reorganization, bankruptcy, they will be able to mitigate how much money they pay off to the people, apparently. If they go through bankruptcy, they can only give so much money to so many people. After which, the stock will be like... I remember GM did a similar thing. Right now, GM has recovered somewhat. I haven't looked really deeply at GM, so I'll just say that once a company goes through bankruptcy and comes back, they have the ability to make money. At this point, their low price makes it attractive to equity investors. Since the price is so low, if you buy the stock right now and hold the stock long enough, and it goes back up to 43, or close to 43, if it goes up to 30 and you buy it at $12.97, that's a lot of equity. In my opinion, based on how they've worked in the past, that doesn't mean that they'll continue to do so, but they were raising dividends. For a dividend investor at this point, it doesn't pay any dividends. If you lock in the low price now, and then they start dividends again, you'll likely have a higher yield. I'm not excited about this now that they suspended the dividend. When it had 11% yield, I was looking at it. Is it possible that it will be 11, 12, 13% yield again if you purchase the stock now? Yes. Because in the past, they had the ability and desire to continue to raise the dividend. BlackRock owns about 9% of them. BlackRock is a rather large company. They've got their fingers in a lot of things. If BlackRock sells their shares, that might be time to look at whether you don't want to buy it or not. But if BlackRock decides to buy more shares, that might be something that you want to look at purchasing. At this point, I'm not 100% either way. Is it a good stock? I have liked this stock for about a decade. About 10 years I've been looking at this stock. It was always a good stock in the past. When it had a yield of 5%, I was happy. I had some shares. At this point, I don't believe I have any shares at this point. I might be wrong. I'll have to go check my Vanguard account. If I have any, it would be in my Vanguard account. But at this point, I'm looking at it. A lot of people have shorted the stock. Meaning in September, they said, well, the price is going to go down, and they were right. They could have made some money. At this point, I'm looking at it not neutral. It's still a decent stock, but it really depends on whether how much the lawsuit is going to damage them. I expect that the price will go up to at least 30 at some point. I'm not an equity investor, and if it went up to 1302, but say you buy it at 13 or 12.97 or somewhere around there, and say 13, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, it could $17. The value might go up $17, $18 in the longer run. If they go back to paying the dividend to the value that it was, the value is going to be over 11%. That's a decent yield. It all depends right now on the lawsuit. If you were going to take a chance, it might be the best prudent to do it now at the lowest price, or put in a limit order for a little lower. That might work. Will the stock recover? I believe it will recover. I believe it'll go up to 30, maybe 35. I expect at least 25. Equity investors, it's a good time to buy. Investors who want to have a yield, I expect them to return a dividend at some point. If you do an entry point now, you'll get that yield, but you have to hold it for, I don't know, 6 months, a year, year and a half, 2 years to get a higher yield. In the meantime, I would have other stocks that I would buy to get a higher yield. I like this stock in particular. I've watched this stock for, like I said, a decade. I expect it will rebound. I expect that the equity investors will make a lot of money. And I expect the yield will come back. I don't know if it'll be 5 or 7 or 10% or 11%. But if you're going to buy it for yield, it's best to buy it when it's low, when everyone else is worried about it. So Hawaiian Electric has always been, in my opinion, a good company. I didn't like it when the price kept rising because I wanted the yield. Now the yield would have been great if they would have kept paying the dividend, but they suspended it. When they decide to return the dividend, and if the yield is at least 5%, I would really consider buying it. At this point, since I'm not an equity investor, I wouldn't want to buy it right now because they suspended the dividend. If I were an equity investor, I would consider buying it right now because I expect the price to go up to 30, 32, something like that. I don't know. It depends on your long-term goals. If your long-term is the appreciation of value of the stock, for me, I look at this as low enough to buy at this time for equity investors. I'm not an equity investor, so I'm not purchasing any. I'm a dividend investor, a dividend growth investor also. Both were fitting the box for Hawaiian Electric because they raised their dividend for 5 years in a row. It's up to you what you want to do with this particular stock. I'm not making any suggestions. If I were an equity investor, I would purchase it now or put in a limit order for a little bit lower. Dividend investors, they suspended the dividend. 6 months from now or a year from now, they may reinstate it. If they do that and you buy now, the yield will be higher. My opinion is the value of the stock will go up because it's at the bottom of it. The bottom, it's at the resistance right now or close to it. I don't see it going much lower. Equity investors, they'll probably buy now. I've been noticing it, that equity investors look like they're purchasing it now. Income investors will have to wait in my opinion. It may be 3 months, 6 months, or a year, year and a half. I expect that Hawaiian Electric will return the dividend, but they haven't yet. They just barely suspended it. I was disappointed. I like that stock. Any questions or comments down below? If you're saying, is it a good company to buy? Long term, is a good company to buy. At this point, I'm not buying it because of the suspension of the dividend. Have a nice day.